yeah. Good folks.
AtlasGDS.com. Use promo code CC15 for 15% off your first order of pop rinds. These are the best fresh pork rinds straight from your microwave or air fryer, locally owned and operated right out of beautiful Surrey, British Columbia.
Beautiful there.
Atlas Goods. Check them out, folks. Our poll question today: should the Canucks trade or sign Andrei Kuzmenko to an extension? Let's see what Alex votes with. Our options today are trade him, extend him, and as always, I'm angry.
Yep. Where's Alex going here?
Alex is really thinking about this.
Yeah, he's thinking about it.
Alex is asking the bot.
I got there's no like, what are we extending it? Like a 1-year deal, another?
I know.
Okay.
This is a quads poll question.
Settle down. I get it from everybody. Someone replied to the poll question and said there really should be a dollar value in the question, which was a good point. So I said, okay, let's say it's a rumored bridge deal. This also coming off the heels of Pierre LeBrun's report in The Athletic this morning about how Kuzmenko could probably get a bridge deal at $6 million.
Starts with a 6.
Let's say that, okay? 2 to 3 years at $6 million. Trade or sign Kuzmenko?
Where are you going, Alex?
And like, what are you trading him for? Tyler Mott, or you actually get?
Oh no, you're getting first plus.
Yeah, you're getting first plus because what LeBrun said in The Athletic is that this is a guy who's, it's such a rare opportunity for a contending team in a cap-strapped league right now where nobody can really afford to make any big moves. You're adding a guy who's making under $1 million on the cap, and he's legitimately going to be a 20-goal scorer by the time the deadline rolls around. Like, this guy might put up 30 goals this year. You're never going to get an opportunity to do this for many years. You're not going to get an opportunity to trade for a guy like this. So we're expecting that any trade partner would be giving up over a first-round pick, like a first-round pick plus.
Yeah.
Okay. Now you have all that information, okay. Alex. Let's see.
He's been typing all this into the chat thing, and that's the thing.
The bot.
So Alex goes with extend him.
Okay, and it's interesting because the guy that I replied to, where I said 2
the
to 3
results
years
are interesting too.
The results are, I'll get to those in a sec. He said I would sign him 2 to 3 years at $6 million. I would not personally. No. But first, let's get to the results. 55% of voters saying trade him, 30% saying extend him, 15% say they are just flat out angry with the state of this team right now. So I would not sign him, Chris, and I would not sign him to a 2 to 3 year deal at $6 million. Now, the reason for this is that I think Kuzmenko's camp is going to have, they're basically going to have two options here, right? When it comes to signing another NHL contract, because obviously he's a UFA at the end of the year. The option is, like we said, a bridge deal starting with a 6, 2 to 3 years, $6 million. He could probably get that. Maybe it's like a high 5s, right? Probably he could get that. But if he goes out and let's say, I think he's got 35 points through 39 games so far this season at the time of this recording. If he goes out and puts up another season where he's at or near a point per game player, right? He could get a lot of money. And my point is that you're either going to do a bridge deal if you're Andrei Kuzmenko, or you're going to do a 1-year show me deal where he goes out and proves it again, right? You're looking at a huge payday. You're looking at the cap potentially going up and teams having a better idea, at the very least, of where the cap is going and how much cap space they can plan for down the road. Like if you're doing that, right? If he takes a 1-year deal next year to go prove it again, I would sign that deal, I think.
For the Canucks.
Yeah, I think the Canucks can sign that deal.
Yeah, and I think that's something where if that's the road that they want to go down, the Canucks are absolutely in the equation if he hits free agency.
Yeah.
So if you trade him,
yeah.
This like everyone's like, oh, trade him and then sign him in free agency. That's like the dream of everyone. I actually see this scenario being one where it's possible.
Come on.
No, seriously. Like it doesn't work for anyone else, but it might work for us. Like I just think that Kuzmenko chose here when he had the option with 32 teams total. Could 32 teams give him the real thought that he's going to play with an Elias Pettersson quality player? And if he does need to prove himself for another year, and he's going to charge $6 million for that 1 year, it's not like he's going and being like, oh yeah, I'm going to go prove it again with McDavid and take $950K. It's like, no, I'm going to prove it again with Pettersson at $6 million. So the 1 year deal for the Canucks in the free agency this coming summer isn't that far-fetched to me.
he would
A
get
trade and sign
no.
is a
He
possibility.
would get those offers, the 1 year, 7 million, even 6
Right,
million,
sure.
whatever. He'd get those from other teams. He's an unrestricted free agent.
Yeah, but if he's proving himself again, does it make sense for him to go to Arizona on a 1 year, $8 million deal?
No, but you just use the Oilers as an example.
Sure, but do the Oilers have another $7-8 million to throw around to a guy that they're taking a 1 year risk on?
Well, okay, let's not get into all the cap situations right now. I'm
Oh,
just
right.
saying.
We're just talking about a contract.
Well, I'm just saying that there's going to be teams out there that are going to be looking to sign this guy.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And there's going to be I don't think this idea of, oh, he might come back after they trade him. I don't even think that's what we're talking about. That's a pipe dream.
I think that
when
this
has that
situation-
happened?
I don't know. Not with the
hasn't.
Canucks, but how often have they signed the top guy to the KHL who's had success when he was very questioned going into the season?
What you're describing happens in the MLB. Can you please show me an example of it happening in the NHL? And even further, can you show me an example of it happening with a Dan Milstein client?
No, because it hasn't happened. But
so you think the Canucks are going to be the ones to figure this out?
Did you think the Canucks are going to be the ones that signed him off the top? Like, that was something that wasn't, it was, a front running team, but I just think that he's comfortable here. He's been able to experience North America in his first year away from Russia. He enjoys it here. He enjoys playing with Pettersson. He enjoys the opportunity to be the tap-in specialist on this power play unit. Is he getting all those opportunities anywhere else? Maybe, right? Like, he might be the guy there, but even if we brought up the Oilers, if he ends up with the Oilers, do we know he's playing with Connor McDavid? Right? If he starts to struggle for a while, are they talking about whoever else playing in front of him? Is he on the first power play? He knows what he's going to get with Vancouver. So the relationship between Dan Milstein and Patrick Allvin is also one of the tightest you'll see between agents and the GM in the situation of how many deals they actually get done.
Corey Anderson brought this up in the chat. Trading him, I think, hurts the perception of the team to other players and agents around the league.
I mean, it doesn't help, but it's like, that's the business though, man. Like, that still is the business. And Corey's got another point. Van is a desirable place to play. It's great weather most of the year in an amazing city. Kuzmenko, he likes to have fun, man. Look at what he's going to do in the summer. Watch his Instagram this summer when he's chilling and, riding out his little wakeboard things. He's going to have a good time in here. I can see it being a possibility. I know it's, it's not, the president has been set for it to happen often. But this is a situation where I can actually see it being possible for Kuzmenko to come back.
Okay. Regardless, I think the general perception in the chat here is that trading him, if you can get a haul, is the best course of action for this team.
I'm still on the trade camp here for sure.
But
I do think the return is going to be first plus. That's huge for the Canucks. If they can land that and the Horvat deal first plus,
that's 3 first-round picks. Like that's enough to tank this year.
It's actually a good news story for the Canucks of how much they could return and quickly add assets.
If you want to turn this around in a hurry, right? If you want to retool this team, tank this year, get as many draft picks as you can and young assets. It doesn't have to all be draft picks, right? Get really young assets that you believe in because, hey, this management regime's pro scouting has been pretty darn good.
Sure.
Right? Go out and get these guys that you want, but you have to free up this cap space for yourself. And hey, I like Kuzmenko as much as the next guy, but if the only offer on the table is 2 to 3 years at $6 million, I'm turning that down because, hey, I'm not saying that Kuzmenko is going to fall off a cliff, and I don't think he's at risk of that potentially, but you just never know, and I think there's a lot more certainty.
It's hard with the winger market, too. The winger market is so up and down, and certain years it feels like you look at the Besser deal at the time, and you're like, oh, that feels pretty good.
Now they can't even trade him.
Oh, they can't even trade the guy.
There's a level of certainty that comes from trading Andrei Kuzmenko that this team needs right now. And again,
certainty of value coming back.
Exactly.
For years to come.
You're getting draft picks, and hey, I'm not saying that draft pick's going to turn out and be fantastic, but I am saying you have a chance of that, but you're also getting this cap flexibility that we keep hearing this team and this management regime talk about endlessly, how much they need to figure out the cap situation, and that it's going to be a while to unravel it. Don't keep committing money.
I'd also look at it. I'd look at it a little different if Kuzmenko was 22. Right? If Kuzmenko was 22, 23, and he had this type of chemistry with Elias Pettersson, I'd be like, this could be the long-time duo, right? But how do we know what his game's going to look like at 31, 32, that kind of age? And it's just, how does he look like on another team? Is this just a very good fit for him? This is why he chose here, because the fit. That's why I can see him coming back in free agency if they do trade him. It's not going to ruin his perception of Vancouver if they end up trading him. it's going to be it's going to be uncomfortable for him, I think,
and for
sure.
Petey, as Kai Howard brought up in the chat.
For Petey as well, I think, but it's going to be uncomfortable. But listen, he's got one of the best agents in the world, Dan Milstein. He's going to make him comfortable. He's going to do, listen, like, I read the Milstein book, but he goes over and above for his clients. He's good. He's a good agent there, Dan Milstein, one of the best in the world. But it's not going to ruin the opportunity to sign him in free agency if they trade him.
Really?
Is he not part of the solution here? Like in the next 2-3 years, you're getting that certainty of a 25 goal scorer, where like that first rounder, he might not even develop into a top 9 guy. He might not. He might be a Curtis Lazar. You never, right? Kuzmenko, you're kind of getting some certainty, and he's at least a 25 goal scorer, going to play well with Pettersson. And
but you know what? The Canucks are going to have
going up that $6 million for 30 goals is not that bad. And on the flip side of that, if he starts asking for $9 million 2 years out from here, you signed him to a 3, and he's asking for $9 million 2 years out from now, and you go, that's too high. His value would be pretty good, would it not? If he's asking for $9 million, you'd be probably getting more than a first plus and a couple of prospects. You might be getting even a higher pick at that point. And you got to ask yourself, are the Canucks going to be good in those next 2 years, next 2-3 years?
And that's what I think it comes down to is I think you have to be honest about where this team's at. And I don't think 2 to 3 years of Kuzmenko, even playing at his best, like we're seeing him right now, it doesn't move the needle. And you know what?
They're going to have 5 25 goal scorers this year.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
Like,
it doesn't matter.
Kuzmenko's going to be one of them. And losing him doesn't like break this team, really, to me. He's the best guy to deal with, right? Like this is one of my favorite guys to deal with in the room. He's a blast every time I talk to him. I love the player, love the person off the rink as well. It's just, to me, this is like when I talk about certainty of value is the way that, the currency of the NHL is young players, draft picks, and cap space. And you get all 3 of those if you end up trading Andrei Kuzmenko instead of re-signing him.
Yeah. And
unfortunately, currency, the value of, a winger who can score goals, that's a diminishing currency. Like, that's not what it is or what it used to be. It's all about the cap space. And Alex, you brought up a good point of like the cap space is going up. So that's going to be kind of an interesting shift to what we see as like currency being valued in the NHL. But right now, current date, I just think the certainty is there with whether it's a draft pick in 2024 or it's draft picks down the road, or it's even a young player that you draft now and can potentially move in a trade later. That's the thing. It's like those type of things, those can help fix the big problem that is the Canucks defense more than trading Kuzmenko for a defenseman would be. And I think that you can't find that deal right now, but you can certainly find the value to make that deal in the summertime with the stuff you could get back for Kuzmenko. And that's only if listen, we've talked about the return being huge, right? We've talked about the return being massive for Kuzmenko, and I expect it to be, right? Like, for the reasons you mentioned, he could have 25 goals by the time he's traded. He is going to not affect your cap at all as he's making league minimum. These type of things are valuable. And we talked about it last week on the show about the returns that we were seeing last year for Kopp and, players that had 1 goal at the trade deadline returning a 2nd round pick because they had no cap hit. Like, Kuzmenko's return could be massive, and it could be something that really helps set this team up alongside with a Horvat deal for years to come.
You got to do it, I think. I personally. So that's our poll question for today. Atlas Goods, go to atlasgds.com, 15% off your first order of Pop Rinds. If you use promo code CC, that means Canucks Convo.